Hello, it's Renee Barabal, the Practical Shaman here, and welcome to the weekly Wind Spirit card pull. Each week, or every week, I try to get here every week. Most weeks I get here. Sometimes I'm traveling, sometimes, I don't know, it just doesn't happen. But most weeks I'm here, and this week I'm here with the weekly Wind Spirit card pull. And what I do is I pull a card out of the wind sack. Yes, wind was carried in sacks and hidden in the caves. And let's see who's going to come and give us a hand this week as we move through this. Wow, it's third week of July already. Can you believe it? Oop, that itchy nose. Okay. Last week we had two. This week we have one. This week we have Yeongdeung Halmang, the Korean wind goddess of balance, and it's about moderating your actions. Wow, that's interesting because I've been hemming and hawing all morning long about whether I go into LA tomorrow or do I wake up early Monday morning to drive in. I've been traveling a lot lately for work, and I was away last weekend, and it's like, I have a routine. Do you have a routine that keeps you in balance? For me, it's like I do my laundry a certain day, and it's really because usually the weeks are pretty busy, and it really is helpful to stay into some kind of routine. The other routine, as I've been working with moderating and balancing, is trying to balance my food with my exercise. All these diet fads and everything, and I don't really relate to that much. However, after I hit menopause, the weight shifted and it's been kind of a little more tricky to get it off. But one of the ways that I've been moderating my actions is I've been swimming. It's 111, 114, and about 7 o'clock at night, it cools down enough to go out in the pool. And last night, I don't know if it was down in the low hundreds, but the water actually felt cold. Now, for those of you who live in colder climates, you probably are laughing at me, and that's all right. I'll laugh with you. So Yeongdeung Halmang, from the book Winds of Spirit, is from Tamna, and it's about balance. And you want to beckon this wind goddess when you seek order and balance, summon her for rituals and a bountiful harvest. Well, that's kind of interesting because I'm right in the middle of the wind work basics class, or actually we just started with the first lesson. So if there's anyone out there hankering to get in, I will let people in until this Tuesday when we move from our personal vision assessments into a little bit more deeper wind work. And you're welcome to join us. We have a great group of about 21 people. So a couple more people would still make it a nice, intimate, small group. All right. So the Yongdong comes from Asia. And for the longest time, I was looking for her in Korea. And it was really kind of a stretch because as I did each wind god and goddess in this book, I spent about a month researching each of them. And now, in a real big scheme of things, that's not very long, but I couldn't understand how Yeongdong could have been in Korea, and it just wasn't adding up with their takeover of their kind of religious order. And so what I find is that I found her finally, and let me just tell you where, so I found her in an island called Jeju. And Jeju is a very interesting place. It's a volcanic island, and it's sandwiched between, it's south of Korea, sandwiched between Japan and China, which kind of makes more sense than thinking about someone in a religious type country. But on Jeju, what happened was that they were an island of giantesses. And so the whole culture there is based on this really strong feminine kind of energy. So let's see, I have to travel west this week, and let's see what Jeju Yeongdeung Halmang says about in the west. So balance requires give and take. Yeongdeung Halmang arrives as a consummate negotiator when she blows in from the west. She offers you physical rewards, but to receive them, you must release yourself from people, places, and things that no longer serve your best interests. And materialism can be a source of unhappiness. Are you like a squirrel that's stockpiling nuts in anticipation of the long winter? That's interesting because some of us are in the middle of summer already stockpiling our nuts, while some of us are in winter down below and hoping that they've got enough nuts stored. And if you had to evacuate your home in 30 minutes, what would you take with you? How would you determine this? It was just very interesting that this wind would come, because for the last few weeks, the winds have been nattering at me to stock up on my emergency supplies. Not for any other reason, but just to be certain that I had them. And then right after I started to hear that wind chatter, there was I don't know what, there was a pretty good sized earthquake up here in California. I think it ended up being a 6.1, or it was large. And we could hear the rolling effects down here in Southern California. And still, did that edge me on? No. I had to wait until I got nudged and nudged and nudged. Finally, this week, I went over to the grocery store and I stocked up on some canned goods. I ordered the cat a few extra cases of cat food, got myself plenty of water, because I want to make sure that my actions are moderated, that not that I'm stockpiling the food, but that if there was an emergency, both the cat and I would be okay. So how could you moderate your actions this week? That would be a really good question to ask yourself. So for example, today I've been working all morning. I've been writing, I've been doing some other work, doing some promotional work, doing some work on the Shaman's Cave podcast, which, by the way, go over to your iTunes and subscribe to the Shaman's Cave and actually hit that you like it. 5 stars would be extra special. But it's a lot of work and a lot of energy, and even a lot of money goes into creating this podcast. And what the reciprocity would be is just to give it 5 stars, to make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, that when an episode is playing, tomorrow's episode is on abundance. The abundance comes to you when you give it out. It's kind of an odd thing when you're only squirreling onto your little, like what you're hoarding, but truly the biggest gifts come to me in this world when I give out with no expectation of return. So let's call to Yeongdeung and see if we can have a little bit of that right reciprocity, so we can moderate our action, so we're giving and receiving, and that we're restored to balance. And how I'm going to restore myself to balance this afternoon is I'm going to go to the movies with a friend, because for me, I can get into work mode 12, 14 hours a day, day after day, week after week, and I forget that I have friends and that I have movies to go to, and then I forget to play. So maybe for you, it's about playing. All right. Since we had 2 wins last week, which were Nilchi and Cardia and Nilchi, let's send those wins home first and thank them. Thank them from the bottom of your heart for closing what was open and closing what was open and opening what was shut, and for Nilchi for helping us get more aligned with our center. So let's send those winds home. And now let's call to Yeongdeung. So stand in that giantess powerhouse of yourself. And being a giant doesn't necessarily mean exerting power in ways that aren't healthy. For example, the women from Jeju, they're known for their ability to dive and get seafood from the bottom of the ocean without gear. They can supposedly hold their breath long enough to go down, get oysters and other shellfish, and bring them back up to the surface and gather them there. Time has done a whole article on these women. And so, can you hold enough breath for yourself as we move through, bringing in this wind of moderation? So on the first wind breath, let's connect ourselves to the earth. And it's a volcanic island, so you're really going to have to send your roots down deep, deep, deep into the belly. And we're going to ask Jeju we're going to ask Yeongdong to come in and help us moderate our actions this week. And now we're going to create an energy bubble around ourselves so that we know what right action that we're taking, and we're not necessarily influenced by other people's right or wrong actions. You know, ask yourself, do I really need to respond to this, or is it just all perfect the way it is? I love this part of the week. I love bringing in a new wind and sending the other ones home. In case you just joined us later, my name is Renee Baribeau, and I'm the Practical Shaman. And the weekly Wind Spirit cards pull come from this book called Winds of Spirit, which is a Hay House published book, and also the winner of a Nautilus Gold in Religion, and which I'm very proud about, that I was listening to the winds and that I could moderate those actions so that I could sit there and be disciplined enough to do the research and, you know, spend all those years writing the book. And what I do invite you to do is join us over at the Wind Clan. Maybe if you really want to get into this wind work, join us for the wind work basics. You can go over to thepracticalshaman.com and click on that link, and there's still a couple days to join us. And then also tomorrow on the Shaman's Cave, it's all about abundance. And what does that mean in your life? So I'm feeling abundant and I'm feeling free, and I'm going to moderate and go out and have some fun playing for the rest of the day. All right, awesome. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And enjoy your week.